Good day. This is Brian Nash from How We Got Here Genealogy, and just checking in, see how's everybody's doing today. Well, we're starting up there. Just 1 second here. So sorry about that. I'm just getting a few things started today. 1 second here. Okay, sorry about this. I'm just getting a couple things fixed up here. They made some adjustments on this program that I use to stream with, so I'm trying to get something fixed, and just my colors are all gone. I thought it was in here. That's that. Give me 1 minute here. Well, we're waiting though. I guess I can play some music so you're not just hearing dead air. Here we go. I'll play this song. So this is kind of Christmassy while we're getting going. Here, if you guys want to just let me know where you're at, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it. And I don't know where my settings are for this here. I'm trying to change my theme a little. There you go. Let's try this, that, and yeah, they changed all this on me. Okay. And his music's not playing. It should be now.
Telling stories no one gets. Sister's boyfriend making all his bets on how long till someone starts to cry. While the pudding's burning, wonder why you're all getting cold.
Good day, everybody. Let's try this again with myself not muted. Welcome to the live stream. I'm Brian, and this is our Christmas live stream. I'm going to talk about some family Christmas stories and Christmas traditions in my family, but also how you can use these to sort of understand some things culturally about your family. And there is a difference. Sometimes what we think are family traditions wind up being a very cultural thing. So I'm going to give an example here in a second. Just 1 second here. Just getting them. I gotta go to something quickly. I apologize. Okay, that was nothing. Okay. Okay, everybody. So how's it going today, eh? So we're talking about Christmas, Christmas traditions and Christmas stories that you might have. I have some interesting family stories and I have a few traditions that I'm going to share. But just what about you guys in the chat? Where are you from? What kind of traditions do you have, your family? Okay. While you're thinking about that, I'm just going to do something here quickly. And now, for me, a lot of my family memories of Christmas involve food. It's funny how food makes an impression on us, and it makes an impression on our memory, I find, very much so. And some of the food is when you start investigating your family history, and you start talking to some of your the generations that came before you, and you start talking, and you find out even distant cousins sometimes that have these same traditions. So you know that they go back far away. Now, for you who don't know, I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the armed forces, Canadian Armed Forces, so I grew up all across Canada. In the early part of my life, I was born in Quebec, but from when I started getting memories around 4 years old, from 4 to 5, 6 years old, I lived in New Brunswick. Then I moved to Ontario, where I was for the next, in various locations, for the next 8 years. No, I want to say, I went to Ontario from 1979 to 1984. So I was there for 5 years. Then I was in actually 1976 to 1984, so 8 years. Yeah, and then I was in Nova Scotia and various places for basically until I came to Prince Edward Island 20 years ago. Living still in high school and junior high, traveling around with my family, my dad in the forces originally, and then staying where I went to university, living some life there, eventually getting married and moving to the Annapolis Valley for a few years. So my traditions, a lot of them, some are unique to my family, but the ones that I really remember are the ones that when we'd go to Cape Breton, where my mom's from, we'd go there regularly for Christmas, especially once we moved back to Nova Scotia. In fact, I'm pretty sure of all the time we lived in Nova Scotia from 1984 until even till after I was still in university, we would spend Christmas in Cape Breton almost regularly. The exception being when I was in university. At one point, my parents had moved to Manitoba, so we spent Christmas there. That I went to see them. No, so but we moved. They moved back to Nova Scotia, and then I'd resumed going to Christmas in Cape Breton. So some of my memories as a young child. It also involved my mom's parents, my mom was an only child, so we were the only grandkids to visit. So they would often come to our place for Christmas. In fact, I can't remember a Christmas really. Until my grandfather went into veterans homes that we didn't spend with him, other than there was a couple years when we lived in Ottawa because he'd had a stroke, and but I think that was only 1 or 2 years that really had affected him enough that he couldn't travel to Ottawa. And then we wound up moving to Nova Scotia, and we would go to Cape Breton for the next, like I said, until after my second year of university. My parents moved to Manitoba, and I'd spend the next 2 Christmases there. And we would then it was back to they moved back to Nova Scotia, and I resumed going to Christmas in Cape Breton, and that was probably until close to really when I got married myself. That would be kind of the norm. So a lot of my traditions would be Cape Breton traditions. Some I find kind of unique to my family, and some would be widespread among people from Cape Breton. And a lot of this was rooted in food. It like I said before, it makes an impression on your memory. Food, for whatever reason, tastes kind of stick with you. Food and music, and then also things associated with the food. We had it's funny, it was my wife and I were invited out to friends here, and they were concerned, but the time they wanted to have some Christmas dinner. And I remember my mom, you always had Christmas dinner pretty much at 2:00, 2:30, maybe you were pushing it, if you're really pushing it. And but there was also things like she had a regular menu for Christmas Eve, and that regular menu involved ham on Christmas Eve, of course, turkey on Christmas Day, and then on Boxing Day, my mom would always have made pea soup. I don't like pea soup. As much as I tried in my life, I just could not bring myself to enjoy it. So there's those type of things, but it's really the sweets. And I'm going to talk about something, and I'm going to try to show you a little bit about it here. 1 second. I'm trying to bring this up so it works. I just got to move a few things around on my screen. 1 second here. What's the easiest way to do this? Is create a slideshow here. I can. Okay. One second. That's not doing it quite the way I wanted to, so I apologize. It's going to take me a second to show this off. There we go. Um, so, okay. Okay, these are something called pork pies. I didn't necessarily want to show you this first, but the one thing you'll notice in these, they're not made of pork, and there's not an ounce of pork in them that I can find. And I take it's more that they resemble the hats that are called pork pies. They're basically a pastry that has dates and a maple cream icing, which is really, really good. And they're a particular favorite. So this is the ingredients for them. And I'm going to go here one at a time. And let's see. So this is how you make the shortbread. And sorry, and these are the ingredients for the shortbread part. The date filling and the icing. So for these, this is how you make the date filling. And let's see. So this says just says for the icing. So you probably didn't think you were going to get a recipe. Anyways, it's something I really like to share. This is probably one of my favorites. So there's the instructions for making the shortbread shells to eating them. And they were something that was, well, I say, very, very yummy. And something I quite enjoyed and still do. I've been able to get my wife to make them. And something I found really interesting is when I moved to Nova Scotia, moved to Prince Edward Island, I was talking about these because I thought, well, this is because it was something that was pretty unique to Cape Breton. If you ask people outside Cape Breton, they probably did not know what a pork pie was. They would assume that you were talking about some type of meat pie made with pork. But I was talking to my minister's wife, who's from the Isle of Lewis in Scotland, here in Prince Edward Island. I was talking to her. It's where she's from, and I was mentioning these, and she was very familiar with them. And she was familiar with a few other things that were very uniquely associated with my Christmases in Cape Breton growing up. So I found that very interesting that this is something that had carried over for some reason for the Scottish community in Cape Breton, whether it was because this was something that came later. It's based on something older. I haven't done too much deep investigation into, but it is something that it had very much in common. And there's a lot of these desserts that sort of have that. They're uniquely from Cape Breton. And sometimes I found it's just the names, since I've found that it's just the names that would be uniquely from Cape Breton. So I'm not seeing anybody chatting here, so I see that you're watching. I appreciate when you do chat in. Let me just check here. I need to check to see if This is showing up where it should. Okay. So yeah, like I said, just go in the chat, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them. I keep getting messages here, so wasn't the best week yesterday. Well, because with the freezing weather we had, I had a pipe in my basement burst that goes to my laundry room. So I spent last night and a lot of this morning trying to fix it up. There's still a little more work to do. I have a temporary fix there now that stopped the leak, but to bypass what needs to be done, it's going to take me a little bit. So I'll be working on that over the next few days. I'm just checking out there is a form, if you noticed in this, so you can ask questions. You can ask them if you're here live in the chat, but I need to check that form because I haven't checked it in a while. Let's see here. Okay. Well, there we go. So let's one here, a second here. Of course, Google's want me to upgrade this. And okay. Just going through this. Sorry, just checking to see if there was a new question. There was a question, but this one I'll have to deal with individually, directly with the person, just so I don't share any personal information. So if you have any questions in the chat, yeah, give me a call. Put your question in there. If I don't get any questions, I guess I can probably wrap it up for the night. Just going to look at one thing here. So yeah, going back to Cape Breton Christmases, this is a uniquely family thing. At least I hope it is. As I mentioned, my mom always made pea soup on Boxing Day, and I always had this one granduncle who would visit us on Boxing Day. There was a lot of visiting done through Christmas amongst relatives, which was always great. It was one of the reasons I know a lot of my mom's family is through these visits during the holidays. But there was this granduncle I was fairly close with. His kids were more uncles and aunts than cousins with me. Well, they were first cousins once removed. But Yeah, they because his kids were my mom's age, and my mom's cousins, but my mom being an only child, I didn't. Well, I guess the oldest is 5 years younger than my mom, but and my mom being an only child, I didn't have any uncles and aunts on that side of the family, so a lot of the older ones really kind of substituted as that, and they were sort of that role in my life. And anyways, this grand uncle, he was a it happened more than once, so I guess I can call it a tradition. He would come over for pea soup, and through the course of um, discussion, uh, he would he would always wound up passed out in the pea soup. It wasn't from the pea soup; it probably was from the the copious amounts of alcohol that you drank through the basically Christmas Eve through New Year's, and a lot of times. In fact, the regular thing that I got to enjoy when I was a teenager, or uh, and when I went to university, when I would be in Cape Breton for Christmas, was boring day parties, which was on Boxing Day, since a lot of the traditional things are closed. There would be boring day parties. It was called Boring Day because um, the bars were closed, so you'd have to have house parties. So those were always fun. There was a lot of the traditions involve uh, alcohol. Besides the food, it was the food and drink. Um, so I'm getting ready. I'm going to end this in a few minutes then, since there's not a lot going on. I've been here for about half an hour, actually, exactly half an hour. Um, well, almost. So I'm going to actually head out because I have some work to do. I have to finish cleaning up some of that plumbing and get ready for Christmas. I just wanted to take this opportunity because I hadn't been on for the last few weeks because I had a lot of things going on. Well, one week I had a wedding that was keeping me from there, and then I've had some medical issues that have kind of taken me away. I will have a new video out, possibly is well, it's going to the podcast could be up as early as this evening on Spotify. Should probably be out tomorrow, over the weekend on Spotify, and up as a video on YouTube early in the week. It's an interesting video, talking with somebody about how they use DNA to find a family situation where there's somebody that it appears that they were born outside marriage. This happened a couple hundred years ago, so they're trying to figure out how that came about. There's a story to it, and it's quite interesting. And it involves a family that were Empire loyalists who settled here on Prince Edward Island. So I'm hoping to have that up. Like I said, it should be up on Spotify probably later today, early tomorrow, depending when it actually finishes. All the stuff that it does in the background. I've been working on a couple videos lately. I'm working on an update to my video on the foreign Protestants of Nova Scotia. That was a video I did a couple years ago. I did a sort of update. This is probably my last non-live stream, non-podcast, was about a person who this is from doing some investigation into this next video. I found that the person who wrote this, one of the main source texts for these groups of people, was a spy, post World War One, and he was an academic as well, and he wound up through his academic research understanding his study, not so much as a spy. He actually was able to conclude that he was able to basically predict the Holocaust before the rest of the Western world knew what was coming, and he was able to predict that this was in Hitler's plans by examining some of the statements that Hitler made in his book, and then also in his speeches, and then in his actions, which these were things that had not been made public or to people in if the actual authorities were aware of this was going to happen. And it was something that even the press hadn't made public, and even though he had tried to report it well before the start of World War II, and it wasn't until actually Hitler invaded Poland that people started looking at him more seriously, and the information he had got published. It's a really interesting video. I do recommend you check it out. It hasn't got a lot of views, but anyways, he wrote one of the, besides his work, because this is by, he also did genealogy work, and he wrote a book which is basically a catalog of these foreign Protestants of Nova Scotia. So it's a primary source that a lot of people use, that gives the details. And so I'm going to be having a video a little bit of more how to use that, what information you can get from it, and what general information about that people group they are, because they were responsible for populating a large part of Nova Scotia in the mid 1700s, just basically post Acadian expulsion. And then I have been working on a video. I had hoped to get it done before the anniversary of the Halifax explosion, but I'm still had been doing some research, and I could have put it out, but it wouldn't have done it justice. So I'll probably come out sometime in January, and that's going to be on if your family were part of the Halifax explosion and they were survivors, what type of records are there, and exploring the details of those records, and information you might find. And some unique sources to look, so you can find the details of what happened to them during the Halifax explosion, if they were affected, and exactly to what extent. So I'm working on that video. I'm hoping to have that mid January. I have a few other videos planned for the new year. I'm looking to hopefully get one. My goal is to have 2 main channel videos each month through the New Year's. That's sort of my resolution, and also my podcast, and to do these regular weekly live streams. If people show up or not, that's up to you. I really do like it when you show up, and you engage yourselves in the chat. So that's my plan for the New Year's. If there's any topics you think that you'd like to see done in the new year, please let me know. You can drop me an email. There's a link in the description for this live stream, actually, where you can ask a question. You can use that to contact me as well. As well, in the new year, I will finally be having my course in my community, which I've been working on for almost a year now, roll out, and it'll be available for people to start signing up to, which I'm looking forward to. And if you want more information about that, definitely you can use that same link, or you can send an email to info@howwegothere.ca, and I will be glad to tell you all about it. So if there's nothing else, no questions, I will let you go for the day. And you guys all have a great night. Keep searching for your ancestors. Or do you want to hear some more music? I think some people like the music I have, because I had a couple people comment on that. So I'm going to add another Christmas song here. Now, this one is a little different. This is all music created. The Christmas music, almost all of it was created years and years ago, back in my college years. And so here.
night, my antlers freezing in the light. He said just one more round, I swear, but that's the 5th time I declare. Rudolph's getting angry, Dasher's about to snap, Vixen's contemplating leaving this old trap. Hey Santa, get your jolly butt outside, the sleigh is waiting, it's time for our ride. Those kids are waiting, put down that beer, we're your reindeer, not your party peers. Blitzen saw him on the dance, doing jigs without his pants. Comet caught him doing shots with leprechauns, believe it or not. Prancer's getting worried, Cupid's lost his mind, Mrs. Claus is calling, time to draw the line. Hey Santa, get your jolly butt outside, the sleigh is waiting, it's time for our ride. Time for our ride. Kids are waiting, put down that beer, we're your reindeer, not your party peers. Oi! From Dublin down to Cork, you've hit each pub along the way. Christmas magic won't deliver itself, it's time to save the day. What time is it, Santa? Delivery time. Where should you be? In the sky. What's in your hand? Put down that pint. Hey Santa, get your jolly butt outside, the sleigh is waiting, it's time for our ride. Those kids are waiting, put down that beer, we're your reindeer, not your party peers. He's still in there, isn't he? nothing you dismay. Remember minimum wage and overtime, you'll never see the day. Canadian Tire is packed with assholes, shoving Christmas Eve away.